Kimberly and welcome back to my channel. I make videos on all things lifestyle on a budget. First off, Merry Christmas, because I think this is going to be posted on Christmas. Happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, happy let's bring some joy to the end of this year. I hope this time of year is good for y'all. I want to bring you a video today that I am excited to share, but I want to come with a few disclaimers and I want you to hear them clearly. So I'm going to be talking about the housing lottery today. If you don't know anything about it, it's a way to get affordable housing here in New York City. I'm going to specifically be talking about for renters and not the high-end income, more so middle and lower income. I've spoken very strongly about how I feel about the housing lottery having six-figure minimum requirements for some of these places. I don't agree with that at all. I think it's probably a way of them balancing the scales to be able to afford it, but I think that affordable housing should really be more for the people on the lower end, but I digress. This is not a, I just got the housing lottery and here's how I did it. It's not that at all. This is specifically a, I'm in the process right now. This is a reality check of what it's like to be applying to it, what happens in the moment, and I'm on the journey right now. I do not have all the answers. I don't even know the system or the little algorithm or anything like that. I am just sharing my one and only experience. I'm not even gonna mention other people that I know that have done the lottery. I don't think it's helpful in this very moment. As I was just saying, I've been applying since 2020, but I realized that that's probably not the case because I forgot that there were two websites. So the Housing Connect website actually got upgraded, I believe, during the pandemic or right before it. They had an old site that you can still access, and I probably should look it up to see, but originally I was applying on there and then it was like, hey, we're shutting down and going to a new website. So you got to put all your information over there, which I did, and that's where we are today. Housing Connect, you hop on, you're applying for affordable housing that's throughout the city. At the main front for applying, it's based on your income, but there are other factors that kind of hop in that determine who gets picked. The lottery is open for a certain amount of time. They will send you an email that says, here's what we have available, and you go and look to see what type of apartment it is, how many people, and what the income requirement is. That's kind of all you really need to do right at the start. When I initially was applying, I was living outside of the city and I was just doing whichever one seemed good. I just wanted to have an apartment and I felt like I couldn't afford a market rate apartment like at that time if I wanted to live alone. Now the first thing that I will say that I did read somewhere and I kind of do believe, but feel free to leave your opposite experience if this is the case for you. If you live in that borough that you are applying to, you do have a higher chance. It's like a neighborhood thing. I have never gotten anywhere on the apartment list until I moved into the city. So that was a couple of years that I've been applying and I never saw any sort of changing or moving of the needle, nothing. I always saw really high log numbers, which is the number that your application ends up being. Lower number, they say, is better chances. To explain the process a little bit of how you apply, when you go in and log on the website, you're going to need to create a profile. In that profile, the most specific thing you need to do is to track your income. So you're going to need to list off everywhere that you work, and you're going to need to list the amount because they're going to add it up. So that's what's really important. Now, if you only work one place or you don't work at all, that's going to be pretty easy. As an artist myself, I have 1,000,001 W-2s. That's just how it is. I work many places and I work them throughout the year. So I literally go in and I write in every single thing. It's helpful when you get your taxes to just go back to that previous year and say, this is what I made. You can also project if you want, but just know that if you do get picked for something, they're going to comb through and go off based on that income requirement. So choose wisely. You're going to also mention how many people in your household are applying for this. So if it's just you, it's one person. If it's going to be you and your roommate or something like that, then you're going to need to do that all together. And then I believe that's where your income will go larger because you're going to put everyone's information in together. I was only applying for myself, so I was good on that. Once you've finished your profile and set everything up, you're going to go to the lottery page. You're going to see everything that is offered currently in this moment. Things that stand out is how long that the lottery is going to last, what area it's in, and then when you click on the page, you're going to be able to see what amenities it offers. So people with disabilities, there's a percentage that they do look higher at, and the same thing with New York City employees. Also make sure to look at things like, does it say in the paragraph that the tenant is required to pay heat, or does it say heat, hot water, gas, electric is included in the rent? That stuff makes a difference because you want to make sure that you're not going to end up having to pay extra and then it ends up becoming the same amount of rent that it would be if you were just applying on the market. So other things, you can also see photos, etc., and then it tells you how to apply. Guess what? It's a set it and forget it. I'm telling you, set it, forget it. Apply and don't think anything about it because who knows when you're going to hear. Now let's get into my specific scenario. So I counted it up on the new website. I've applied to about 20 places over the course of 2 years. So from 2020 to 2022, right. The funny thing is that 17 of them say applied, so I'm just hanging out in the water. 2 of them say rejected, and I'll show you why. So things change, like a year goes by, whatever. And like I said, I previously was applying kind of everywhere and just looking at how cute the place was. Now that I live in the city, so since that has changed, living in the city, I'm obviously spoiled with the convenience of where I am right now, and I'm not willing to add that on for a place that's much further and not convenient to how I'm going to be traveling around the city. So I have no longer been applying to ones that are like deep in Brooklyn or deep in the Bronx or deep in Queens. So 2 of them I ended up withdrawing my application. So it comes up as rejected, but then you can leave like a reason. And one of them I was like, I don't really like the neighborhood, which again, I don't have any problem with Greenpoint. I just didn't have an option on there that I could choose that was similar, and I just basically just didn't want to live there. I don't want to live in Brooklyn at this moment in my life. So all of those apartments is just hanging in limbo, except for one, and this is the huge change that happened to me this November. Now, I will say I'm not going to tell you which apartment it is or which building it is because let's have a little anonymity here. Up until this point, I've never experienced past the point of just applying. November 30th of 2022, this year, I received an email out of the blue that just said, hey, your application for this place is now pending for the 70% studio, whatever, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom. I was like, what? I was like, oh my gosh. And then I read the email more and it was like, you don't need to do anything else. There's no more space. We're just letting you know like your application has just changed from applied to pending. A win is a win. Honestly, nothing could come from it, but I'm manifesting and just putting all my energy that I'm one step closer. Now, but here's the reality check on it. I went to go look to see when I applied to this because I had no idea. Sometimes you would think, oh, it's probably from like 2 months ago or 3 months ago. No, this was from over a year ago. I applied to this apartment September of 2021. It was now November 30th of 2022 that I'm hearing something different. So that's what I mean by set it and forget it. Like a year and 2 months later, I'm actually hearing something, and it's just to say like we don't have a space, but just know that you're now a little bit closer. Now I want to give my log number because I know people are going to be asking me about that. My log number was in the 7,000s. So take with that what you will. I believe that's one of the lower numbers I've ever had. I remember on the old website you could see it and I was always in like the 10,000 or 20,000 or 30, something extremely ridiculous that I had no hope. I don't know how I got a lower number. I heard a year and 2 months later, but I'm running with it. Now at this point they say don't do anything. Like you're locked in at the income that you had when you applied and you don't need to do anything else. Actually, there is something that you can do. Basically what is going to happen next is should something become available, they might reach out to me and that's when I would need to start loading these documents. Once you hear the list, you'll realize why you want to get a head start on it. It's no joke. If you want all that information, I have a link in my bio that goes right to the checklist of resources that is from the website. I think that's helpful to look at to just kind of get yourself ready. I started to just get the things that are not going to change ready. So like my new lease, it's up there already. And then I started doing like the taxes as well because you just want it to be easier. They do comb through everything, like enough so that they would comb through your Venmo and your Cash App and be like, what is that $25 purchase? And you're like, oh, I got wine with friends and I ended up paying, and so that's why they're paying me. So it seems like you're gonna have to go through it. The one thing that does drive me nuts is that I feel like there's a certain bracket of income that kind of gets shuffled aside. So it's like you have the lower end and you have like the really high end, and they're like everyone else in between, you're just gonna have to do the market. So that is one thing I'm worried about, is for the places that I want to live, like how much I end up wavering as one person applying to where you don't fit into the income requirement because you make a little bit more than what is listed. I'm just gonna hope for the best. I don't want to not make money to afford to get a cheaper place. I want to make money in life, like that is the goal. So you just have to kind of accept it. Like that's kind of the thing that I've left off with this journey because it's been so long, is like as much as I want it, if it's meant to be, it will be. In the journey, what could happen? I might not hear for another year, another couple months. I might hear tomorrow. I don't know. And the next steps would be to upload all of those documents, probably would have some sort of interview or phone conversation or something of the sort, but I don't know that journey. I absolutely will update because I would love to see where this journey leads to, and it might not go anywhere. It might be something where I ended up making too much and now I'm not even a part of it. Or it might just be like there are literally no more units available, and that stays like that for another year. I mean, people aren't just like moving out right away. So I just wanted to offer this video. I'm super excited to celebrate a tiny little win. I'm going to keep applying for things as they appear. And also I want to say, like, everything you want to know about the housing lottery is on their website. They even have videos for each step of the process and how to apply. So if you have questions about that, just go to the website and look around. Just do your research and you will see how straightforward it is to apply to stuff, and then just get applying. Let's have a conversation down below. If you've been through the process further along and you want to share your experience, let's chit chat down below. If you've only been on for a couple months and you've already seen like 3 places, live your best life. I hope you get one of those. But let's just talk about it. It's a very interesting thing because there are so many people in New York and beyond. If you are specifically out of state and you actually were able to get one of the housing units, I'd be so interested in your story, because I feel like if there's one thing I want to marry to, it's the thought that, like, I think you have to be here. But that also could just be wrong, because if you make over 6 figures and you just want that place, I feel like you'd have a better opportunity of getting that. Happy holidays to everyone. Hopefully I'll have good news in the new year. Just one little itty bitty step closer to the opportunity to have an apartment that would not just take up all my money that I make. So yay! Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.